Hello, nice to see everyone again. I hope you've had a good start to the week and that you can see my microphone. Let's see, there we go. Nice, it's Thursday. Today we'll be doing, I had a few things I had on my mind, but we'll be doing, hey Amelie, nice to see you. I'm pretty good, quite tired, but pretty good. Today we'll be doing box breathing that we started with, I think it was last week, or is this the third time? I think it's the second time we do it, which is a special breathing technique that is really good for calming down your nervous system and just calming down in general. I think it's one of the most effective techniques for doing that, actually, that I've been practicing, except for just having awareness and being able to just focus on the breath and calming yourself down. But it's very simple to do. Hey Mats, nice to see you as well. JVB, nice. I had this really cool thing that happened to me today that made me feel so, how nice it is when we think of other people and how easy it is to get so caught up in our own lives. Swedish people in general are kind, considerate, and quite pulled back a little bit, but we're very helpful and want to help other people. And I was driving home from work today, and there was an ambulance that came, and I could see him far away, like just far, because it was a long road in the city, and he was coming from far behind, and I could see the ambulance coming, and it was flashing its light, and I immediately, because you're supposed to give way for the ambulance, so I immediately started moving over to the side so that it would be clear, and then I saw every single car, there must have been 50 cars, everyone started just moving to the side. And the ones up front, there was a double lane, they couldn't do this, so they started driving up on the curb of the road, like towards the other side. And there was one, some kind of handy worker, I think it was a plumber or something, he really like drove up and like almost got stuck on top. And it was just so beautiful to see that people still respect that, because I know sometimes people don't. They're like, I don't care, like I want to go first, like I'm not going to move my new car up on the pavement for an ambulance. And it was just really nice to see how people, okay, this is an urgent thing. It's so little required of us, but when you see those lights, when you see flashing, if it's an ambulance, a police car, a fire truck, you move out of the way. It's like nothing to fight about. Like no one starts arguing about, oh, well, he was before me. Like, no, we give way to the person in need. And I think there's just something really beautiful about seeing 50 cars, like all together synchronized, just moving and like making a way for the ambulance. And there were some cars in front that were stopped by a red light, and they couldn't move to the side because it was just full everywhere. So they actually drove the red light. Well, obviously they looked before, and then the cars over there, they stopped because they saw the ambulance like standing there, like with blinking lights and the sirens. So they had stopped, and he passed the red light, and it touched me. It's nice to see compassion and to see humans help others out. And I think one of the things I talk very much about, how to enjoy being alive and really be happy with life. The way you do that is to appreciate and feel that there's enjoyment in what we experience, and not the story, but the actual experience. And on top of that, another thing that is really important that I've had a hard time putting word on is wanting other people to be well. And I don't mean that, I have a hard time saying that, because if I say that, then we're going, well, what does it mean to want them well? Do I mean they should prosper? Do I mean they should be rich? Do I mean they should get what I have? Like, what does that mean? But I think there's a word in Buddhism called ill will, and the opposite would be goodwill. So having goodwill towards other people, meaning you generally don't feel, hey Stephen, you don't feel any distortion towards them. You don't feel this like, bastards. Even when they're doing stuff you disagree with, even when you're doing things that you find very difficult, you have to practice with seeing, can you see that it's just something they're doing? There's nothing in that needs to make you feel bad and not enjoy your life, which is a very hard thing to do, especially when it's directed towards us. And for me, seeing all these people just move out of the way, in almost like it was like it was planned, like they had radios, contact. Okay, you move over there, you move there. It was just so nicely done. I think that's part of the whole thing. We want, well, but there's someone there who's having some kind of emergency, And I'm very happy that I was in the car feeling good, feeling really well, and being alert and not being sick, not being in an emergency. But one day I will maybe be in an ambulance like that. And if I am, I hope that other people will move so that I can get to help as quickly as possible. So it's so easy to get stuck in the, oh, well, you should put others in front before yourself. That's not quite what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just having goodwill towards other people. You genuinely want other people to do well. Even the people you think are idiots, even wanting them goodwill, that's difficult to do. And it's not about what actually happens to them, but actually having them not feeling like you have some kind of resistance towards them. That's what I mean when I say having goodwill. So not really what happens to them, but just not having any resistance towards them. It's such a difficult topic to talk about, because as soon as we start talking about it, people get focused on what happens to them or what they did to us. They did this to me, so then I can't not have resistance towards them. And I sometimes talk about it as in, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, the Ho'oponopono practice, which is a way of taking away the distortion, the resistance you have. Because if you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, if you say those and really look at, not trying to feel something, but just saying like, oh wait, what does this do? This disarms me. If I'm angry with you and we're having a discussion, I feel like, oh, you piece of... And I don't have to say it to you, but in my mind I say, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, I don't want to say I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. Please forgive me. What do I have to say please forgive me about? Like, you should be telling me that. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you? Like, I shouldn't be saying thank you to you. You should be saying thank you to me. I love you. Like, nope, I don't love you. And you can feel that distortion going in there, but if you keep doing that, eventually it just goes. And it's like, oh, there's nothing to resist here. There's no distortion. And then when you don't have any distortion towards them, when you don't have that ill will, all of a sudden you can see the situation clearly and go, oh, actually I understand why he or she is angry with me, because from their perspective, I'm the idiot. From their perspective, I'm doing something that is harming them, and that's why they're doing this. Again, it doesn't mean it's correct, doesn't mean that I agree with them. It just means that you stop resisting, and then all of a sudden you usually you see the perspective, because you're no longer stuck in like, I'm right, they're wrong, I'm right, they're wrong. Or you might see like, yeah, they're still idiots, they're just behaving completely nonsensical. But many times when we take away the distortion, we can see that our perspective or our beliefs weren't as solid as we thought they were, because we're often very clear, like, yep, this is how it is, black and white, clear as day, they're wrong, we're right. But when you look at it, like, okay, yeah, they have points in this and that, and getting rid of the distortion gives you that perspective. Unfortunately, it doesn't automatically give the other person that perspective. But when you stop resisting them like that, most times the other person will be more willing to listen to you, because they can feel that. JVB, for you, Martin, when or how does something become true for you? How do you define truth? That's something that I never think about, because I simply don't know. If we're talking about true would be, so I can say that 1 + 1 is 2. I mean, I know that is true. I have heard that if you're in a black hole or somewhere where where Einstein says that the laws of relativity don't apply anymore, then 1 + 1 might not be 2. But that's beyond what we can see. But here I can say the truth is 1 + 1 is 2, that I can know. But if we talk about beliefs and who's right, truth is, I just never deal with truth, because I simply don't know. There's no reason to. I try to see perspectives. If you talk about what happens after death, that's like completely pointless for me, because there's absolutely no way you could know that's true. If you've sat enough, and if you've seen what the mind does when you meditate, and how it just fires off randomly, and you can have these bright lights, you can feel like you're moving towards a center point. That could be a tunnel, could be like when you're dying. The mind just does stuff when you lose this centered feeling, and it starts shutting down or doing things that we're not used to seeing it doing. And many people then interpret that as, oh, I felt all this overwhelming love, I felt like I was embraced, because that's what it feels like when you no longer feel a sense of self resisting everything. That could be that you're touching heaven. It could be that you're touching another dimension. It could be that you're touching the 7th jhana and experiencing, like, You can come up with that. My point is that there's no way to say anything like that for sure. So those things I don't touch. Truth, as in who's telling the truth, I mean, then it's the same there. It's always perspective. And even when I say something, what did I actually say? What did I actually mean? How did I pronounce it the wrong way? My fiancé speaks Dutch, and we often problems with communication. And she will say, no, you said this. And I said, no, you said that. And we have to try to understand what we said. And I just gotten used to, maybe it's true. It doesn't really matter, because I said this and she thinks I said that. And then we have a fight about that. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter what I said. This is what I mean. Let's start over again, and we do it better. So I don't really, you see, this whole searching for truth or understanding what's true, that's, you require a self to find that. When you don't feel I am here and this is important, because in that question you're asking, there is the feeling of it's important to find the truth. I don't think it is. It's important to enjoy being here. It's important to appreciate being here. It's important to have goodwill towards other people. And when you do that, then truth doesn't really matter, because then if something happens and you don't know if it's true or not, then you go into the situation, you start asking questions, and you have to just find the best perspective you can, or the truth as close as you can get to it. But I'm assuming you're talking more about existential truths, and those are completely, I don't even touch them with a 10-foot pole. Like, it's just, I can't know. There's no point in wasting time on that. I hope that answers the question. Amelie, compassion meditation give me more peace and take away negative emotions towards others. So having compassion, and when we do that, we try to take away this distortion, and that's a really important perspective to look at. But the problem with compassion is that compassion for most people, and I think this is the definition, please, if someone is in front of a computer, could you paste the definition of compassion? But for me, if I hear the word compassion, I take that as meaning I feel what you're feeling. So you're sad, and now I also feel sad. That is not what we're trying to do. I'm not saying if I'm with you and you're feeling really sad, I don't want to make myself sad. Why would I do that? Why would I ruin my life experience because you're having a hard time? And that doesn't mean, when people say that, I go, hey. I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to be inconsiderate. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you enjoy being here, you appreciate being here, and you have goodwill towards others. That doesn't mean you go, if someone has lost a friend. I had this just recently, a close colleague of mine, like one of my best friends at work. She lost her an old friend from when she was young, and she was very sad. And I didn't start feeling sad. I didn't go like, oh, poor you, like, oh, it's so sad. No, I was just there, and I said, oh, that's terrible. I mean, it would be terrible to lose someone you've known for that long. And then she just spoke about that, and we talked about it, and I listened to her, and I didn't laugh until like, oh, I enjoy being here, like, I'm so happy. I'm not feeling like, oh, well, sucks for you that you're having a bad time. I'm not having a bad time. If some close friend of mine would die, I wouldn't feel like, no, don't be an idiot. Like, don't be an asshole. That's not what I'm talking about. And that's not what it feels like. It really feels like you can see another person. It really makes you go, oh, this person is really sad, and you can be there for them. And you don't need to be what everyone else does usually. If someone comes to you and they're feeling sad, they go like, oh, if someone, let's say someone broke up with let's take the example of the friend who died. Everyone will go like, oh, poor you, that's so terrible, or like, how are you feeling? And and they reinforce that feeling instead of saying like, oh, that's terrible. What were they like as a person? I don't know them, but since you know them and you seem so close to them, they must have been a wonderful person. And then they'll start talking about that person, but they won't be focused on oh, I'm so sad and everything's so terrible, but they remember the nice things about it. And I love hearing about people. I really thoroughly enjoy that. So, let's see, there's no, yeah, I thought someone posted about compassion. Compassion, it's not a bad thing to feel compassion, but if you actually want to use it in your practice, don't feel bad when other people are feeling bad. Focus on how you're reacting towards what they're feeling, and make sure you're not having any distortion, because many times when they tell about something bad that happened to you, you will feel, what if my best friend died? What if I lost my partner? What if my partner cheated on me? And we start feeling bad about that. So always look how you're distorting towards it, how your reaction is, and then make sure you're calm, and then listen and be there. be compassionate. I mean, again, I might be misunderstanding the word compassion, and it just means to be kind. Yeah. JVB, so nothing in your life you would consider truth. You have to understand, JVB, that I never think that the question is irrelevant to me. I don't even think you think truth is important. I don't. Like, why? It doesn't affect my experience of this reality. So let's say truth is that afterlife, we go to, in Buddhism, the 12th level of heaven if we die while we're being a good person. And if you've done really good, then you go to nirvana. That's truth. Let's say that's truth. That wouldn't change my experience of now in the slightest. It would make no difference whatsoever. I would still be sitting here. I'd still be having this conversation. I'd still be enjoying sitting here. And I'd still appreciate what my senses shows me. And I'd still feel goodwill towards you. Just as if I had $1 million on my bank account, there's nothing about that would change my experience right now. It has no direct effect on that. I might allow it to, just as I might allow myself to feel worse if I have a debt of $1 million. But there's nothing that correlates between my experience now and that thing there. Which is why when you ask for truth, you believe it's important. I'm reading between the lines of what you're saying. And there's this like, well, danger. What if we didn't consider truth? It doesn't matter right now. If I'm in a conversation and we talk about something, then I will tell you my perspective on what I consider to be true and how I see things work. And you might disagree with that. But there is not, when we say truth, there's a feeling like, oh, it's important. So I believe that there are truths, as I said, like 1 + 1 is 2. If you tell me that energy can't be destroyed, it can only be changed. Like you can't like get rid of energy, it can just transform. That would be truth, as far as I know it. I mean, that's how I understand it. That doesn't mean it's actual truth, because I personally don't know that. But this is what I've been told and what I've learned, that's truth. I don't know that. Truth as far as in what is good behavior. That's why I'm so careful with saying be kind towards others. Because what is kindness? I don't know. I mean, that depends on your perspective, where you're from. Kindness from someone who's super religious would be to convert them to your religion so they can be saved. That's kindness for a super religious person. But for someone else, that would be like, oh, just lay off me, stop being like an idiot. It's a matter of perspective, so it's irrelevant. Let's see. Stephen, is Vipassana better than Anapanasati? They're different things. So Vipassana is insight meditation, and basically what it means is that you look for the three, what do they call it? The three truths in realities, and everything is impermanent. Everything contains dukkha or distortions, and I say, and there is no self. Meaning, from the perspective of how we talk about it here, would be that everything comes and goes. So there's nothing that is permanent here. We sometimes feel like, oh, I'm going to feel like this forever. No. The world is changing. It's just that anyway, everything is changing. There is no, everything contains dukkha or distortion until you're able to let go of it. And you can do that intentionally, let go of this dukkha, distortion. That's why you can become liberated. And ultimately, there is no self in anything. There's nowhere you can look that contains a sense of self. If you look long enough and if you let go enough, sense of self. So that's Vipassana. Anapanasati simply means focus on the breath, and that will calm down your mind, make you very calm. They have different purposes. Anapanasati calms you down. Vipassana is supposed to make you get rid of distortions, even though it's not really practiced that way all the time. Amelie, yeah, I mean, kindness meditation, compassion for me is a tricky thing. Do you have a certain way you like to sit while meditating? I started to sit with back support, and I feel pain in my lower back. Yeah, I tend to just sit like flat as I sit here, and I sit with my legs crossed like this, or you can have them like this. So just like on top of each other like this. Actually, that's not true. I have them like this. This would be a lotus, and I don't sit in a lotus. That's just like, there's no point. I just sit with my legs like this, would be basically what I'm sitting now. It doesn't look this beautiful when I sit, but yeah, pretty much like that. So yeah, very simple. To make it easier to sit, I roll something like this. I roll it and I tuck in underneath my bum, because what you want to do is you want to rotate your pelvic bone forward so that you have a straight back. If you rotate the pelvic bone back, it goes like this. So you want to rotate that forward. That's why I have that thing behind me. Let's see what else. I'm from Mama. Hey, nice to see you. Good evening, everyone. So sad I miss almost every evening. Yeah, it's a shame. JVB, how about when your life is in danger? Would it not be good for you to know truthful information that would scare? Again, you're pulling it to extremes, and also you're trying to put meaning in truthful. Truth simply means like what is the best way to do things. So yes, from the perspective, as I said, 1 + 1 is 2. Yes, that would be good to know. If I run that way, I run towards... Okay, truth. I remember when I was in Mumbai, 2008, and I don't know if you remember this, but there was the Mumbai attacks, 2008, and there were terrorists who took, I think it was 8 or 9 hotels, and they came in with guns, and they killed like 150 Western people or something. They just shot them down. They were mostly after Americans and English-speaking people. And they went down at 9:15 or 9:12. They went down and started shooting at VT station, Victoria train station, which was a train station, like a huge train station in Mumbai. And they just, I think a few people just opened up fire with like machine guns, started shooting people. I was standing outside VT station at 9 o'clock, and we were supposed to go down, me and the girl I was traveling with, to buy tickets because we were leaving Mumbai. We were staying in a hotel a little bit away from there. But I got diarrhea. My stomach was terrible. I remember standing out like, I have to go home. And I started walking home, like, and we walked together, and eventually I really need to go poop. I'm sorry, I'm going to start running. So I started running, and this was 9 o'clock, and they started shooting 12 minutes or 50 minutes later. And as I ran past, the car stopped in a crossing outside of a hotel, and it was really weird because they were walking towards the hotel with guns, and I just assumed they were police. And I looked at them, and they looked at me, and I was kind of, do I need to stop here? Like, what should I do here? The right answer was to keep on running and not stop and talk to them. If I would have known the truth, the reality, how it actually is yes, they're terrorists. They would take me into the hotel, and I might have gotten shot. But I just kept on running because I had diarrhea, which saved me. So I ran by, and I looked at them, and they looked at me, like I said, and I just kept on running. And then I went in and pooped my ass out, and I woke up the day after, had no idea what had happened, and watched the news, and it's like the big attacks in Mumbai, and they had explosions and all this stuff, and realized what had happened. So yes, then it would be true. It would be useful to know the truth. But you're asking about how do I know truth, as in how do I distinguish truth from false? Like, that's just, you just have to use your what would you call that? You just have to look at the situation and do your best to see what is truth. I couldn't tell from seeing those people that they weren't policemen walking with guns, because that's what they looked like to me. A foreigner seeing people dressed up in some kind of uniforms or suits with machine guns and guns. So I would just assume they're police, but that's not the truth. So again, it's not that there is nothing that is not true. I'm just saying the quest for truth is, it wouldn't have changed me running. I'm still running. Unless they stopped me, then I would have stopped. If I would have known they were terrorists, yeah, then I'd keep running. But there's no way for me to know that truth. So it's irrelevant. Obviously, you always look to see what reality is. But when we talk of truth, that's not usually what people talk about. And getting stuck on that usually is not useful. JVB, Martin, it's not my intention to be combative. I just want to understand you. I come and be, oh yeah, I know, I don't feel, and here's the thing, I don't feel that way at all. I don't feel like I'm being attacked or like you disagree with me. I'm genuinely trying to explain why it's not the way you think it is, because when we say truth, there's like things attached to that, and many words carry with them meanings. And truth is this thing there that we so much now argue on what actually happened. And I'm not saying don't try to figure out what actually happened. I'm saying this idea that the truth will set you free, or like, well, actually, well, if you tell the truth. My point is just that I never think about that from a metaphysical perspective or like a bigger spiritual perspective. But if we're talking really practical things, yes, 1 + 1 is 2. As far as I know it, that's how it works all over the planet. Most of the places, unless the laws break down. Which again, I don't know that. That's what I've been told. I've never been in a black hole, so I could tell you that. Let's say someone has to take care of the kids. Yeah, exactly. For me, needing to know the truth hangs together with me trying to do good or be on the right path. But I realize more I just do my best and create my own. That's kind of what I'm trying to get towards. That truth. No, and I'm not sure JVB is asking about that, but that's how I interpret it when I hear, how do you know what's true? Because, I mean, if we're just talking about 1 + 1 is 2, then hopefully that should not be a problem. But again, there are people arguing saying that the earth is flat, or, yeah, lots of stuff that kind of defy logic. But they're very convinced about it, and they have arguments, and they believe it's true. Which, if you question them, I never forget there was a flat earther who was going to do experiments and prove that the earth was flat. One of them would be, if you look at a lamp and you'd go on a lake, eventually you wouldn't be able to see that lamp because you get so far away that the earth would have curved. And they did that, and they lost sight of the lamp. And then their explanation, well, actually the reason it did that was because it started to blow, so there were waves, and the waves were hiding the light. Kind of, they can't accept that because they're so stuck in their idea of what they believe is true. So that's why, again, not being too attached to what is truth. And obviously, if you believe 1 + 1 is 2, that's a good belief to have, a good truth to carry with you. It's a really good topic, and it's actually a really useful thing to sit on, to feel what does it feel like when I believe I need to know the truth. Because truth, again, if I'm extrapolating from what you're saying, is that I want to know the truth about what is the best meditation technique, what actually happens after death, what happens before death, which one is the right God, or are there several of them, or what is the right choice to do it, like the truth, that there's a sense of self trying to understand the truth. That's the part we want to get at. Mindful Mama, I need to learn to trust my gut feeling and become so aware so I could sense the wrong from the right. It became just so difficult. Yeah, that's another thing. People start looking at their gut. Okay, what is the right thing here? What that carries with it is the idea that it's very important what the outcome is. And you need to have a sense of self to feel that it's really important that you have the right outcome. I've had this so much. Oh my God, I've struggled with this. When I would make big choices, I would be so afraid that I would make the wrong choice, and it would really hurt. And I still have that sometimes. It would come once or twice, ask Mindful Mama, every year. I have something big that just completely throws me off, and I get really bad until I come back again. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I don't have a problem with it. I can see my mind kind of spiraling out, and now my distortion just go haywire because I get caught up in, oh my goodness, did I make the right choice? I shoulda, woulda, coulda. And I get caught up in that. That's the self, thinking it's really important, instead of just feel good and then choose what to do. Okay, I made the wrong choice. I should have chosen differently. What do I do now? But what we do is, I made the wrong choice. Oh my God, I ruined it. Like I'm terrible. Such a bad person. Everyone's going to blame me. They're going to yell at me. Like, that's what comes from having the sense that you have a self that you're protecting. Stand on paper. Yeah. That's the best way to solve it. Okay, Mats. I mean, epistemologically, you just have to assume some axioms, 1 + 1, to have productive conversations. You can't prove beyond that. Your experience does not make truth less. Sure. I mean, that's pretty much what I'm trying to say. We have to assume certain things. It's kind of how people say stereotypes are bad. No, you need stereotypes. I need to assume that this roof, the ceiling here, won't just fall on my head. That's a stereotype that I have. I need to assume that when I'm next to a person that they won't just randomly pull up a knife and start attacking me. That's a stereotype I have. I might assume if there's a person with a gun yelling and screaming and they look threatening, that I should probably watch myself and be a bit more careful because they might decide to point their gun at me. That's a stereotype. So we need to have these things to function in society, but when we go too attached to them and we believe this is the way it is, that's when it starts becoming a hindrance. And again, this whole idea, just like Mats says, you can't prove beyond that your experience. Yeah, as I said, I can prove that 1 + 1 = 2. Someone could say, you know what, if you go to the Easter Islands and you stand on top of one of the statues, actually the one closest to the northern coast, so you have the North Star, the closest. If you stand on that one and it's on a full moon while the planets are aligned from Mars out to Jupiter, 1 + 1 = 3. I would say, yeah, that's bullshit. I would say that, but if we want to be precise, I cannot prove or say absolutely that is correct. I mean, I would like to say that I can, but they could say, no, because you don't understand the powers of the universe when the stars align and everything. You could always come up with those things. So we have to assume that, yes, 1 + 1 = 2. We assume that. JV, I ask because there's an abundance of information and I wonder best ways to integrate new information into my life for me and others, especially now that we're in the information age. Yeah, just don't worry so much about information. Like, there's an overload. People managed to function perfectly well 100 years ago without that much information. You have to understand, why do you believe that information is so important? It's because you have a sense of self that really wants to find the right information. And trust me, I do the same thing. Just do your best. Don't worry so much about it. And then you make something wrong, and then for many years, I believe that losing weight, but this is something I've just now been getting into, was about what you ate. So if I ate LCHF, which works really well for my body and my inflammation and my everything, then you would lose weight, because I did. So it's not about how much you eat, it's about what you eat. Eat healthy, eat LCHF, or eat some other diet, and then you lose weight. That is partly true, but that doesn't mean that you can eat as much as you want, because ultimately it's calories in, calories out that determines if you lose or gain weight. With modification, that is true, because if you eat sugar the whole time, that's going to wreck your guts, and it's going to make you super hungry, so you cannot just eat that. You're going to want to eat more, and it's very difficult to maintain that, and you have lots of other health implications from that. But for weight loss, it's calories in, calories out. Eating certain ways helps with that. Eating certain times helps with that. Instead of eating 3 times, you can eat 1 time per day or twice per day. Eat in a certain window instead of going and smacking the whole day. So I had a truth that I believed in that I changed because I was wrong. And that was information that I had to learn and figure out. And then eventually, now I'm like, oh, obviously energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change or change form. Mats, it's a bit like believing in the value of money. There is nothing real about it, but for everyone it kind of is, especially if you don't have any. That is really true. Fiat money only has the value that we put on it. If everyone all of a sudden is like, yeah, money, just we don't value money. Sorry. Or gold. I don't want gold. I don't care, because all of a sudden there's a comet that crashes with 10,000 tons of gold. Gold would just be like 1 million tons of gold. Well, then probably the planet would crack. But then all of a sudden gold would have no value or very little value. There's only 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools of gold on the whole planet that we have dug up. But now we'd have so much more. So it is what we assign to it. Stephen, losing weight is simply eating less calories than your body burns. If my body burns 3,000 calories, damn, you've got good metabolism. Then if you eat, exactly, I can eat donuts and fast food, but if less than 3,000, I will lose, yes. And see, that's the truth. But there is more to it, because if you eat donuts, you're going to get a shitty body from that, because it's not healthy to eat just donuts. And you're going to have a really hard time eating just donuts, because you're going to get so much craving, like sugar, and the wheat is like addictive, so it's going to be very difficult to not eat too much. So there is truth, but then there's more to it, and this is what I'm saying. I believe this was the truth. I was wrong, and I've changed my mind, and now I've realized, okay, actually there's more to it. It's not as simple as it's just like this. There's actually many more layers to it. And then going and saying, like, I need to know the truth. Instead I do the best I can with what I know now, and I try it. And then I say, okay, this works, this doesn't work, and then I change my mind again. But the problem is that we find truth, and then we go out and argue with people, and we start wars with people, and we kill other people because they don't agree with our truth. Sure, Stephen, but then we are still unhealthy. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Cool conversation, and it's a good topic. And again, I don't at all feel attacked, JVB. I think this is, I wish sugar wasn't bad for us. I mean, I so wish that was true. It seems, if there is a God, that is probably the biggest joke he pulled on us, making sugar so tasty and then making it bad for us. It should have been healthy. Sugar, anything I could change, but like sugar should be healthy. Yeah, we were talking about truth. What I want to get is the feeling that you think it's important to find the truth. That's the thing we want to get rid of. And then go out and find the truth. But you're no longer believing you're going to be saved if you find the truth. You no longer believe that if I can just find the truth, then I will be happy forever. It's the same thing as if I can just become rich, if I can just find the perfect partner, learn the perfect meditation technique, figure out the name of God, figure out what happens after life, what happened before life, my life purpose, my destiny. Same story. JVB, I guess I have to be more kind with myself if I don't make a truthful decision. Yeah, I never think about that. See, this whole concept for me is just alien. I never would use the word make a truthful decision. Like, that's just like rubbish to me. I just do the best decision I can, whatever it is. Like, I would never think of like, because that puts, it's so important. I do the right thing, and I'm like no, just like do the best you can. Don't worry about it. And then you make a mistake, own up to it, stand there and say, I did a mistake, I'm sorry. And then you do what you need to do after that. If you accidentally ruin something, try to fix it. But we don't want to have blame. We're so afraid of people saying things to us. Just do your best. Okay, time to meditate. Today is box breathing. Box breathing is a super good technique for calming yourself down. It's very good for stilling stress in the body and the mind. And the way you do it, I think it's called tactical breathing in the military, and police officers use it, and that they use it to calm themselves down in stressful situations. I do this I've been trying it out more because we're working with it now, so I've been doing it in daily life when I'm working or when I'm doing stuff. Be careful doing it when you're driving, because the problem is you can get too relaxed and then you kind of stop focusing on your driving, so be careful with doing that. But otherwise, if you're walking or sitting down, just try doing box breathing. It's basically, we breathe in for 4, hold our breath for 4, breathe out for 4, hold our breath for 4, breathe in for 4, hold our breath for 4, breathe out for 4, hold our breath for 4. You can change that, and you could do it 10, 10, 10, 10, even 30, 30, 30, 30, if you can. It's completely up to you. It doesn't really matter. Well, actually it does matter, because if you do it too long, you won't be able to carry through with it. So we're going to do it. I have a I have a thing on my telephone, let's see, where it will play a sound, and you just listen to that, and you'll hear breathing in, and then there's a pause, and then there's a breathing out, and there's a pause. And I will follow with it. I will say it out aloud in the beginning, what it means, the breathing, and we'll do it for, I think I set it to 7 minutes. That's strange. 7 minutes. Yeah, 7 minutes is exactly the time we needed to go. And then you have 13 minutes to sit without that. And it's very interesting to see how the meditation becomes different after you've done some kind of breath work before. So the way it'll sound is like this. That's the exhale, and then inhale. Yeah, so I'll do it, and I'll do it with you to show you. Mats is asking, how forceful should the breath be? So this is you can change this. You can absolutely try different things. You could do in and then go. Oh, sorry, I forgot to hold my breath. That would give you a really intensive experience, and that's not how I do it. I just breathe as we do when we do normal breathing. So I just breathe in, hold, and then hold, in. It's just small. Actually, I don't do it that forcibly. I just do it like, imagine you're breathing normally, but you're doing in. I'm doing forcibly just to show it's very difficult to breathe in front of the camera without exaggerating it. Just try different things. Try to breathe as normally as possible, because I found that when I have my chest strap up and measure my heart rate variability, how much my body calms down from it, I get more calm when I do it more naturally, more softly. When I do it heavily like that, I get much more energized, but it doesn't calm me down in the same way. So again, it depends a little bit on what you want to do, but try doing it quite softly and normally. So I'll do as normal, ring the bell 3 times. We do it for 7 minutes, then you just sit for 13 minutes by yourself, and you'll see that it feels quite different when you do the meditation after. You can do the counting your breath to 8 if you want to, or just you'll have quite strong awareness after this, so it should be easy to follow your breath after. Or do Vipassana, or whatever you want. Breathing in, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Thank you for a nice sitting. I had one thing that I wanted to finish with in regards to truth. It was something that came up when I was sitting. I have one student that I'm working with. The app is called Paced Breathing. Paced Breath, Paced Breathing, something like that. It's a Android app. And it has something with, when it does the change from in to out, it doesn't go, I can set how many seconds it should be, but there's like a lag, so I don't think it's actually correct it was doing that. I felt like it was a little bit off. Anyway, talking about truth, I have a student that I'll be meeting, I think it's tomorrow, and he's extremely intelligent, really, really intelligent, and he knows so much about spirituality, and whenever we have a discussion and talk about something, he'll say like, oh, it's like this, is like this theory here, and he lays something out, and I listen to it like, oh, that's incredible, that's such a good way of describing it, but it's completely irrelevant, because you just do it, just feel it, like you don't need to, like that stuff just distracts you. And he always says, damn, I wish I could just do like you do and just feel it and just do it, instead of believing I need to figure it out, because he's realized that he has such a strong desire to understand things that it hinders him from actually seeing them. He's so stuck in trying to figure things out that he cannot actually do the practice. So that's something that's worth bringing with you when we talk about truth. Anyway, I hope you had a good sitting. I enjoyed it. Sorry for the short pause. I had to run out quickly. And I will see you all again on Monday. Thank you, Martin. I truthfully wish you a good rest of your evening. Thank you. I think we will have. I will see you all on Monday, and I wish you a good weekend. Good night. Thank you.